Welcome back to the May edition of Shropshire Business Live TV. Now, earlier on in this week, Carl, you were out and about in Shrewsbury Town Centre, as you said, causing a bit of a social media storm as people were chatting online about what was being filmed. But what were you up to?
Well, it's a chance for everybody to find out. Now, we're talking commercial property. I was with the team from Morris Property, taking a look at some of the properties that they've got, some that are occupied, some that are soon to be occupied, and some unusual history about some of the buildings that people might not know.
Well, you don't always look up. Let's take a look.
Well, we've come out into the middle of Shrewsbury today with two members of the Morris Property team to find out more about some of the activity, commercial property activity that's going on, and the company's strong connections, of course, to this area. Introduce yourselves, folks. Who have we got with us today?
I'm Neil Anderson, Head of Estates at Morris Property. Joined the company last September. Used to work for Savills in Birmingham.
I'm Sarah Evans and I assist Neil with the management of the portfolio, and I joined just after Neil in October.
Now, it's no coincidence that we've started here at the top of Pride Hill, is it? Because I know that this particular building behind us, you can't see all the architecture behind the trees, actually, can you? But this has got a particular poignant significance, hasn't it, to the Morris company here?
It has, yes. It was developed by the business over 100 years ago. There was a competition for the design, and it's based on a property in Norfolk, an old hall which is still standing today.
Isn't it funny that sometimes people, they look at the shops, they don't always look at the buildings above, do they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all very similar, aren't we? You just focus on the ground floor. But when you look up, it's a really attractive building.
And Sarah, you're a Salopian, aren't you? So this is an area you know well, you know Shrewsbury,
Yes,
you know
I'm Shropshire born and bred,
Yeah.
and it's lovely to be working for a company that's so associated with the town, and to be looking after these properties that I've known all my life.
We'll go and have a bit of a wander round down Pride Hill and then back towards the river in a minute to talk about some of the particular properties that you've got on at the moment. But what's the climate like at the moment? You know, we're hearing, I mean, just this week talking about inflation not coming down as fast as we'd hoped, and some people still a bit nervous. How does that feed into the property market?
I think here in Shrewsbury, the market is a little bit more protected. Morris Property we have a very low level of void properties at the moment, and we find that the town is still very vibrant. I mean, for me, having worked in Birmingham, you know, I find Shrewsbury very vibrant in comparison.
How different to Birmingham do you find it?
Oh, it's incredibly different. Yeah, it's a complete contrast, and it's fantastic.
And Sarah, from your point of view, what's your specialisms been? Because you've worked in commercial property for many years as well, haven't you, Sarah?
Yes, I've done a mix of different things, always working a little bit in residential and also helping rural estates, but it's nice to be focused on commercial property. Started that career with TSR, another local company, and Morris have got a really good mix of shops, offices, industrial, all different types of property, which is really interesting and really enjoying it.
Do you think people maybe know exactly what the blend of the Morris Property portfolio actually is here in the town, particularly in Shrewsbury?
No, they probably don't, and I think there's an ambition to grow into new areas all the time as well, which is very exciting for the future.
Shall we go and have a wander?
Yeah.
Let's go and have a wander down. So here we are now, halfway down Pride Hill. Actually, before we talk about some of the units here, we didn't mention the former use, actually, of that unit above WH
Yes,
Smith's
a lot
and
of
Tesco, 'cause
Shrewsbury families will know it as the old dance hall and tea rooms. There had been a food hall as well on the ground floor, inspired by Harrods in London. So it's a real piece of Shrewsbury history.
I'm going to keep that one for my Shropshire trivia quiz next time, I think. Do you think people don't actually know, do they? You know, because they don't know, we said at the top, they don't raise their eyes above shop sign level a lot of the
No,
time,
and there's
do
some
they?
really beautiful buildings in Shrewsbury, and we're lucky.
Look at these here, you know, just above the
Yeah.
units we're going to talk about now.
They really are stunning and
they
very
are.
unusual. And these colours are specifically listed, so we have to keep them perfectly matched to what they were.
Most of this is listed, isn't it? You've got really
believe
specifics
so.
about what you can do and what you can't do in a
Exactly,
place like
yes.
this. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talk about prime retail spots. They don't come much more prime than this one, do they? What's the plan
Indeed.
here?
We're just in the process of letting this one to a local clothing retailer. So quite excited to be, you know, working with a local lady who will be opening quite shortly.
That's good. So it's because of course Shrewsbury's got a reputation for lots of independent retailers, hasn't it? Rather than big national, international
Yes.
chains, and
Yes.
building on that then by the sound of it.
It's very much so a local independent, and the shop's recently been refurbished, so she's able to literally move straight in.
Superb. So this you own quite a few of these units here, don't you? So
We do. We own all the units down to the works.
Yeah.
So, quite a variety of national retailers.
So I'm guessing, I mean, one of the real challenges or real fun parts of the job, I guess, is to be a friendly, round the corner, approachable local landlord, isn't it? Is that the...
Yeah, we very much hope so. I mean, for me, it's been very interesting dealing with the bigger tenants, having worked more with local landlords and tenants. This is new for me, but it's nice to get that mix where hopefully we're approachable. And I've certainly been interested to learn about the history of these buildings, certainly the basements and the upper floors. There's a lot of history in there, which has been really interesting.
Because the Hobbs building, I mean, a lot of people talk about, you know, previous uses. A lot of people will remember that as the old.
Yeah, well, it was my treat as a
McDonald's,
child
wasn't it?
to
And
be
that's got-
taken.
You go downstairs and that
Exactly.
used to be like a medieval
To go down
wall.
Yes.
and eat
There.
It's part of the town wall.
Yeah.
at the original town walls. That was a big highlight. Yeah, so many people will know that. Unfortunately, can't get down there now.
No, but things like that must make your job in terms of selling Shrewsbury and selling commercial property in Shrewsbury much easier, because people, there's been a real resurgence in wanting to know about heritage and history and just things that happen in the UK, isn't there?
That's right. That's right. And you know, Shrewsbury as a town has so much history. You know, so to have ownership of some of those properties is very exciting.
Because that wasn't it? It was the oldest property ever to have a McDonald's restaurant in it, wasn't it? Or
Yes, in
something
the
like that,
world, I
seem to
believe
remember.
so. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And that was, how long ago was that then? I'm trying to. That's probably been 10, 15 years ago, isn't it, since that closed?
I think at least. And Hobbs has probably been there now for quite a few years, 5 maybe.
5.
And they seem to be doing well.
Well, and that's the success, I guess, of an area like this, that something's, you think, well, it can not, what can possibly ever replace something that's so popular and iconic as that? Something does. You forget about that, and it's almost like the likes of Hobbs and all these have always been here, haven't they?
Yes, absolutely. It's a busy street.
What's a typical week in your working life then, the two of you? How much time do you spend in the office, out of the office, talking to customers, talking to retailers?
It's always a very varied week, and you start the day with a particular plan, and it doesn't always work out that way. We're out and about with the properties very regularly. Every day we'll be visiting something.
Always a
meeting
few
tenants.
unexpected things, the odd leaks and things going wrong, but hopefully not too often.
But all people ever want when something like that happens is there's somebody on the end of a phone and you deal with it straight away for them. And you
We're
understand
lucky
that.
to have a local team that are always ready to jump on things and attend to them straight away, which is really refreshing for me.
Is it much the same for you? Do you have a plan and then rip it up several times during the course of a week?
Oh yes, definitely. And with all the different types of property, I've been, you know, on the roof and down in the basement and all over different types of property. It's really interesting.
So how many people are there in your team altogether then, and sort of what sort of area do you cover?
In our team here in town, we've got 6 people, so covering accounting, administration and surveying. And then we have a base out at Bicton, where our construction team is based, so they help us with some of the property aspects.
We'll talk shortly when we get further down the hill as well. I'm fascinated to know what's actually happening at your Welsh Bridge headquarters. People have seen the scaffolding up, won't they? But save that for me for a minute. Let's go and have a wander down there, shall we?
So thank you.
Thank you.
So we've come down now to Victoria Quay, which of course is known as the leisure quarter really of Shrewsbury, and Neil Morrison Company played a key role in the rebranding and redevelopment of this site, didn't they?
Yes, it was very much an inspiration of Robin Morris, who worked with the council, developed the sort of leisure offer down here, and we own a number of the buildings which were previously bakeries and warehouses.
So was that working with the council to come up with the concept around persuading them alfresco dining should be introduced? Because
Very
none
much
of that
so.
was here before, was it?
That's
at all?
right.
So-
That's right. So, and of course, there's the big town plan coming as well, which involves the area to the left here. So, you know, it will connect very nicely.
What's it like when you know, from your point of view, you know, when you've got a debate going on with the local authority and you're wanting to say, look, at the moment this area is used for this. Can you visualise it being this? Because sometimes that's quite hard, isn't it? To take people with you on a journey. Sometimes.
It is, but to be fair, the council, you know, they're very helpful to work with. I think everybody's aiming for the same outcome here, which is to continue the success of Shrewsbury. You know, we've got the beautiful river here. You know, very much leisure orientated in this part of the town, and we've got the boat. The pontoon is part of our portfolio. So yeah, it's all very connected.
It's busy down here this week with the weather, isn't it?
It
So,
is.
I mean, we mentioned earlier as well about the importance of being a friendly, helpful landlord, and working with companies to help them to grow must be one of the most rewarding parts. I mean, sort of over the back of here, you've got the Walrus restaurants, haven't we? You know, which
That's
moved
right.
from one part of town to another, and that was an example of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, a Michelin star restaurant. We worked with them to relocate into one of our restaurants here, help them with the fit out. You know, a great team to work with, and we very much hope that, you know, this will be a long-term base for them. But, you know, on a wider note, we're always keen to work with our tenants. Often we've moved them from smaller premises into larger premises, particularly as we undertake new developments like Stadium Point. You know, it gives that opportunity to work tenants through the portfolio and make sure they're in premises that work for their businesses.
So how would that work then? Would there be a mixture of some tenants maybe coming to you and saying, Neil, we want to expand, or we want to open a new unit, have you got anything for us? Or would you be maybe going to some of your tenants saying, did you know, we've got this, we've got that? Is it a bit of both?
Yeah, I mean, we meet with our tenants very regularly, so, you know, they tend to be quite open with their property plans. So, you know, that helps us develop our portfolio with the right kind of opportunities as well.
And Sarah, we're very much concentrated on our little walking tour of Shrewsbury today, but, you know, the Morris portfolio goes beyond the town, doesn't it? Give us an idea of the size, the scale, the blend, the mix, you know, of different businesses that you've got.
Yeah, well, within the portfolio, we're managing over 200 different types of property, from small garage units to over towards the Midlands. We've got a nearly 70,000 square foot industrial shed, and all sorts, from the pontoon behind you to things in Telford, South Shropshire. It's really wide and diverse. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Which I guess makes it helpful for you doing your job, because it means you're far more likely to have something to fit anybody that comes to you and says, this is the kind of business we are, have you got anything that might
Yeah, that's
suit our
right. And we
needs?
really have had quite a few tenants within the portfolio that have moved within our portfolio and are asking us what's coming up. And being developers as well, we're able to actually start building things for tenants as well to their specification.
And there's a lot of that. I mean, particularly in the Telford area, every time I drive around Horton Wood and places like that, there seems to be a new unit going up with one of your signs on it saying the latest development by Morris's, and a broad range of businesses that are taking these on, isn't there, Neil?
Yeah, very much so. At Telford, we have undertaken a number of large warehouse developments, some of which we sell on, and some of which we're developing for other owners and through our construction team.
Get your crystal ball out for me then. My final question, well, it's an ultimate question. You'll allow me another one at the end. How do you think this year's going to pan out? You know, what are the things that, you know, if businesses are asking you, Neil, where do you feel? What's the gut feeling?
Well, we've worked with tenants through the COVID period, and we've come out the other side. And I think at the moment things are going they're steady. I don't think we're going to see any major surprises. Fortunately, not having too many empty properties, we don't feel too exposed. But yeah, I think it's hopefully steady, but no great gains.
Excellent. I said it was my penultimate question because the one more. I mean, just wander around here so we can get a better view of this. Of course, this is the landmark building here on Welsh Bridge. Scaffold's been up for a while here, hasn't it now?
It has.
Talk us through what's happening here and when's it going to be coming down?
Well, the scaffolding will probably be down the end of next week. We've had full redecoration, which I think is the first time in 10 years. It was last done when there was a gas explosion the other side of the building here, and quite major damage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been redecorating and doing some roof work, and then we're following on with an internal refurbishment.
So the people of Shrewsbury can rest assured that this landmark building might be decked out festively, as it tends to be at the end of every year, and will continue to be a landmark in the town.
The polar bears will be back at Christmas, we can confirm.
Excellent to hear. Exclusive on Shropshire Business Live TV. Great to catch up with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.